was another video from Chris Sims' podcast with Matt LaFleur, and this is him talking about dressing up plays. Jacob, you kind of started the conversation in that last segment. This is going to really tie everything together for you, okay? As Jacob in the chat says, hit that like and share, possums. So appreciate that. Here we go. This is, again, on the Unbuttoned podcast with our buddy Chris Sims. Chris Sims Unbuttoned. This was Matt LaFleur on there talking about and being asked about. He was. I love the question that Chris Sims asked, and this is what a great interviewer does, especially someone who's played in the league. What are you stealing from other coaches? What are you taking from other coaches? He was trying to get like, hey, give me a copycat league answer here. And what he ended up extracting from Matt LaFleur is something he learned from Kyle Shanahan, and that leads us into the conversation of dressing up plays or marrying up plays. You'll hear all these different terms in regards to making – you might be running the same play over and over and over, but you're doing it out of different looks and you're getting to the end result different ways, and that's going to confuse the defense or at least hide the repetitiveness of your offensive play calling, of your specific game plan of that said team, that said week, because you're dressing it up. Here's what he had to say. This is a fascinating conversation altogether. A good question, a good answer by Matt LaFleur.
From Vrabel, right? That, you kind of mentioned Dan Quinn and culture, but I'm sure there's something like you said earlier that you stole from all of them. What is that, if you don't mind explaining?
Yeah, I would say one thing that Kyle always wanted to do was the influence of motion, and how it, number one, it hides a lot of the things that you might want to run a repeated play or scheme or concept, and you're going to dress it up, and just the different advantages that you can gain throughout running motions, whether it's leverages on run plays or where it's allowing wide receivers free releases off the line, how it can manipulate a defense. I would say that was a big thing. I think Sean was great being around him. He always wanted to present like a similar look and have plays off of plays. Right. So that was obviously a big influence. Vrabel's just a defensive guy, but he'll tell you he's an offensive guy. But no, one thing I loved about Mike, he was always going to hold the best players to the highest standard. And I think that's important. If you want to be your best, those guys got to go out there and they got to compete at a high level every time they touch the grass.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. And again, the question was, copycat league. What do you take away from specific coaches, that type of thing? And I love how he answered it, because he went into talking about, Sean McVay. And again, you guys know I've been very vocal. Everybody likes to say Matt LaFleur runs Kyle Shanahan's offense. He does not. He runs Sean McVay's offense. He presses into 11 personnel way deeper than Kyle Shanahan does. And it could be that Kyle Shanahan may go to 11 later now that Juszczyk's gone. But the reason he was pressing into 21 personnel is because he had Juszczyk, one of the best fullbacks to play in the last 20 years, right? So here we go. Here's I just put head coach Matt LaFleur speaks on dressing up play calling. All right, with the NFL being such a long-standing league with an even longer-standing game, there's no way to completely avoid running the same play designs at some point. Modern NFL coaches have now utilized pre-snap motion to, quote, dress up duplicate play calling. In the following diagrams, let's focus on the dagger concept out of 2x2 set, ace, which is 11 strong right, and then we'll show you the dagger concept out of a different look. As I said, the dagger concept is very simple. Okay, let's talk about what dagger is. The one, and again, when we say the one, you count from left or you count from outside in when you're numbering these. This will be your one, that will be your two. If the tight end was here, he would be the three. Okay, so you go 1, 2, and then on this side, you start on the outside. The Z would be the one, the Y would be the two. If the T flexes out into the slots position, guess what? The Z would be the one, the T would be the two, the Y would be the three. So you count outside in. So again, in this specific situation, in a dagger concept, the one runs a dig or a 6 route. Okay, most people have this labeled at about 13 yards. There can be choice aspects in this as well, where depending on what the DB does, you may break it off at 8 yards, you may take it to 16. But the one runs a dig, and the two runs a go, a streak, a fly. It's called a number of different things, or a one route on the route tree. Okay, so again, dagger concept is real simple. One runs a dig, two runs a go. All right, so now let's illustrate what Coach LaFleur is speaking of and dress up the same exact concept out of a different look using pre-snap or cheat motion. This time, let's break the huddle in a 1x3 set or an 11 ace Trey right. So again, with an 11 ace Trey right, you got with a 1x3, it's 11 personnel, first of all, because it's one running back, one tight end, which means there are three wide receivers in this set, which will probably trigger a nickel defense from the defensive side of the ball. Okay. So we're going Trey right, meaning 3 targets to the right. It's a 1x3 look, Trey right, 1 on the left. So the X is on the left. He's opposite the tight end on the line of scrimmage. So you got the Y, you got the slot or the F in Matt LaFleur's offense, and the Z. Okay. Now, we're going to run dagger out of a Trey right, and people were going, how are you going to run a dagger left out of Trey right? Cheat motion. So what he's going to do is the slot or the F is going to pre-snap motion over, and then guess what? The ball snapped, and now you're in a dagger look. You see what I'm saying, Jacob? You're running dagger out of a Trey look as opposed to a 2x2. That's what Matt LaFleur's talking about that Sean McVay loves to do is run the same, it may be a slot cross. It may be a wolf concept. It may be a dog concept. It may be a mesh look. You can run a mesh look out of a Trey set. Guess what you do? You motion that guy over to a 2x2 set and then run the mesh with the Y in the slot, which is basically shallow crossers that try to run the defenders into each other. They mesh off of one another. So I'll pause right there. Does that make sense right there, what he's talking about?
Yeah, it does totally. And I think this kind of reiterates back to what I was saying with the Greg Cosell clip. This is exactly kind of what he was talking about, how you can come out and in the same way as you're trying to run that dagger concept, bringing that slot over on that cheat motion. And at that same time, Jordan loves seeing, all right, is the DB running with him? Is he letting him go? Okay, that gives me a little more introspective as to what's going to happen in this play, whether or not it's going to be a zone or a man coverage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Coach Lynn says, I think he was referring to that number 2, running a go, a fly, a streak, a 1. They call it a clear out, right? And that's essentially what he's doing in a dagger concept is he's trying to clear out underneath. Now, if the coverage bots down looking for the dig, guess what? You're popping that thing over the top. And it goes back to our original conversation of in a West Coast offense, there's typically a shot on every play. That would be your shot if the defense rolls away from it, right? So, again, and now something that Greg Cosell said too, Jacob, imagine this same Trey right look right here, right? Now imagine this slot. Forget what he's doing on this play. Forget everything about this play other than the formation. That slot, what he's talking about with a moving Z, this Z may pre-snap move in here, and then the ball snap. Well, guess what? That Z's now the slot. And this slot defender now becomes the Z, right? And he may be running a wheel route, an outside route, a deep route, right? Well, he's an outside receiver, and that's why you've got to be very versatile, and that's what Matthew Golden can bring to the table. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. I'm going to tell you, Jaden Reed can too, although some fans are convinced he can't. You've seen it. You've seen it all year last year. You've seen it his rookie year. How many times that he would pre-snap motion from inside out and then run a deep route, or even he would even be the go route in this dagger look right here. I always talk about the Saints. I think that was a Haas concept, if I remember correctly, where he was in the 2, he ran the go and caught that diving catch against the Saints that kept that drive alive there with the game on the line. So moving along here, I just said, keeping it real simple. This is a very, very, very minimal breakdown of what Coach LaFleur is talking about. Multiple wrinkles can be added to this approach with the concept opposite of the dagger, along with play action and adding in a jet sweep that marries up with the cheat motion illustrated above. So imagine at some point in the game, Jacob, you run a jet motion. Let's say you come out the first time you show this, you run a jet sweep here, and you hand it off to the slot defender at the snap, right? Well, the next time you run that, guess what happens? These defenders start to cheat inside a little bit, expecting you to hand that ball off to the slot, and now it's a cheat motion all the way across the formation. You got outside leverage, and if they're playing anything other than cover 2 man, or a cover 2, cover 4, cover 6, cover 9 look, then you're going to have that shot play because that guy is now cheating to the inside to play that jet sweep. That makes sense. So all this stuff comes into factor in terms of what he's talking about with Sean McVay and what he's learned from Sean McVay. And if you guys don't know, Sean McVay was the tight end coach for the Washington, at the time they were called the Redskins. We'll call them what they were. He was the tight end coach. Kyle Shanahan was the OC. Matt LaFleur was the quarterback coach. And Mike McDaniel, I think, was the running coordinator, right? So
I think they had – wasn't there also Massis? Robert Massis was still – or who was the guy from – there was another coach, dude. That was like the most crazy.
And here's what's wild. If you go back through this coaching tree, and I'm sure I'll get a little bit of this wrong, but you'll kind of understand the point, though. They were in Houston for a short time as well. right? So they were all in Houston together. And at that time, guess who the coach was? It was Greg Kubiak. So they were all assistants under Greg Kubiak. Well, Greg Kubiak came up under Mike Shanahan, which is Kyle Shanahan's dad. And if you go way back to the day, let's go all the way back to the Denver Bronco days. Kyle Shanahan was a ball boy on the sideline for his dad's Denver Bronco team back in the day, right? Now, how did we get to this point? Wide zone boot was a staple of this offense. You had John Elway who could run a bootleg. He had the versatility to run a bootleg as good as anybody and throw on the run, right? Well, what he did, what Kyle Shanahan did, or Mike Shanahan did, was he brought the West Coast offense from the San Francisco 49ers when he took the head coaching job at Denver. And then he looked all the way across the freaking country to Washington and said, I think it was Washington. And he said, let's take Alex Gibbs. Alex Gibbs is running a zone scheme out there, a zone blocking scheme. Everybody was gap back then. He's running this new wild zone blocking scheme. Why don't we bring his wide zone running scheme into our West Coast offense? And they married up the West Coast offense with the wide zone running scheme of Alex Gibbs. And that's where you come up with the creation, the evolution of what we call the wide zone boot, which is basically a West Coast offense backbone with zone blocking attached and a heavy boot action playoff of it, which is something we couldn't do last year, going back to our original conversation, because Jordan Love was so banged up with the knee.
Yeah.
All this stuff kind of comes right into focus, right? So what we can do here for a second is let's close this out, and I can actually pull up our play design here if you want to, Jacob. If there's anything that comes to mind for you. This is just a little cheap program I've got. I love this thing, man. Like we can move these guys around, do whatever you want to do in terms of how you want to design the play. I love this setup right here, man. It's just absolutely awesome. So I can undo all this right here, and we can draw up any play that you want to draw up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you hear us talk about, and it's hard for me to kind of get used to it here, when we say we want to go to a tray left look, let me give you something I really love that Matt LaFleur runs. Actually, let's do this. Let's go with a nub right, because we talked about it, and forget who's the Z, who's the X, who's the slot. I'm not going to take the time to change it on this specific design here. When you talk about a dagger play, right? Let's draw out dagger on this specific play. So again, dagger is real simple, right? It's going to be a dig. He looks like he'd been drinking, how wavy that was, right? And the one will run a dig, the two will run that, right? Now, let's throw a slot cross into it. And this is where you get into combinations, right? Let's do it even better. Let's say that the Z is going to line up over here, right? And let's put the Y on the line of scrimmage, so the Z by rule has to be off. Now, let's go pre-snap motion, right? And maybe you do run an end around or a bubble screen off of this at some point. Bring him to the 3 left, right? And what we're going to do here is now give him a climb route. Well, guess what you've got identified there? I didn't have to draw the arrow. I don't know why I did that. So let's guess what you've got there now. Forget the 2. Let me see if I can click off so I can actually show my cursor. Forget this guy right here for a second. You know what that concept is? That's called slot cross. So you've got slot cross tied into a dagger approach as well. Now you're playing chess and not checkers. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and even if you line the Z up over there or you use the cheat motion, it doesn't matter. Don't make a hill of beans. You're still getting from point A to point B one way or the other. And then you can marry up the run the way you want to. You can show that pre-snap motion a couple times with that Z. You can hand it off on a jet sweep. You can run the slot cross dagger concept together there, which is basically 1 dig, 2 go, 3 climb is what that play is. And then you can also work underneath, get the defense thinking in that direction. If they start to bend and think, okay, let's protect the dagger and let's also protect that crosser. Let's play inside leverage and don't let that climb, don't let that crosser beat you. Well, guess what you can have underneath? It's almost like a little mesh concept underneath to tie it in on a shallow cross. You could also, if you wanted to, have your running back set up in a pass block situation here, right? So you got the Y flowing left, everything else working right with the 2 stretching the field vertically, clearing out like Coach Lynn was talking about. And then after that block, run a little chip underneath. And now you've got a leak route underneath for your running back to check down to if everything else breaks down. These are the things that's just multi-layered. Absolutely love it, man. This is what football is all about. And it's why I get frustrated sometimes. Guys, I'm an idiot at this stuff. I've got so much more to learn. But when I hear a fan just talk about that guy needs to lose his job. This guy stinks. That guy sucks. Well, the PFF grade said this, and they don't even have a damn clue what's actually happening on the field. It really bothers me when they've got a media presence to them. Not all. You guys know the ones I like, I talk about all the time. You could probably connect the dots and figure out who I don't like. I love Jason Wilde. I love Mark Tauscher. I love Brian Bulaga. The Blue 58 guy's great. He doesn't talk down to people, right? But you get a handful of these guys that would not know whether to crap or go blind, so they'd close one eye and fart when they look at a diagram like this, and they're the ones talking down to fans on their podcasts. It makes me want to slap people in the mouth. I'm just like, you have no clue what you're even talking about. So that's when I get a little heated over that stupid stuff. So everybody is on different levels in understanding the game, and that's why I try to pick and choose. Like Greg Cosell is my go-to film breakdown. When Greg Cosell talks, I shut the hell up, because that man has been breaking down tape long before I was even born. So anything else you want to add to that little conversation there, Jacob? Anything you want to draw up? Is there anything comes to mind? We got it on the board right now.
Actually, yeah, real quick. Chase Green says, I think Coach Matt should run more stick and dart concepts. In the two-man drill against the Texans, Dobbs and Wicks feasted on these to get us into field goal range for McManus. Can you maybe draw that out and let us know what a stick and dart concept would be?
This is where it gets tricky, because everybody got different terminology, right? There's staples like slot cross, everybody knows it. Dagger, everybody knows it, right?
Mesh.
All that stuff, everybody knows. So when you say dart, you'd have to specifically explain to me what you mean by dart, because it might be a snag on my chart, right? Everybody's got different terminology. Now, he said stick, right? So, and I've seen people line up sticks different as well. Let's see if we can find sticks on my chart here, how it's lined up, and we'll show you what we got here. Tosser is another one that we used a lot. Drive they use a lot. Stick. All right. So with stick, it's the opposite of wrap. Okay. And he may go, no, that's not stick. That's totally cool. We can agree to disagree. This is all the information I've gathered over the years. Okay. It doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong here. So with the stick concept, Jacob, this is what you're doing. Let's flex the Y out. Well, he mentioned it with two receivers, did he not, Jacob? So let's do it on this side. So with the stick concept, let's say you go with the nasty splits and you're in here a little bit closer. Here's what the stick concept would be on my chart. So the one would run an out, okay? It's a two-man combo, and the two would run a curl. That's a stick concept. See what I'm saying? Now, let me show you what I mean by the opposite is wrap. Let's go to the right side of the formation here. With a wrap concept, the two still runs the curl, but the one wraps around the outside. And that's something that Matt LaFleur, back in the Aaron Rodgers days, that was a staple in their offense. And he may refer to that as stick, right? That could be that as well. But let's see. All right. So Chase Green says dart is two slants on the field side. That's the target. Stick is curl out. There you go. So there's your curl out, right? So what he's talking about with dart, I refer to as tosser, right? So with tosser, this is what we call tosser, and we run it a lot in Green Bay, believe it or not. It's just a double slant, if I'm understanding him correctly, right? That's what I call tosser, and he's calling dart. Now, here's what's cool. You want to build off that. You show that early in the game, and you're just hammering them with tosser or dart all game long, and then all of a sudden you come out and hit them with a sluggo. You see what I'm saying? Oh, it's game over, baby. It's game over. So that's where you got to get a little bit better at playing into things, right? Like another one is drive. When we talk about drive concept, which is a pretty solid staple here as well. I don't want to know what the chat says. As soon as I said tosser, I was like, they're going to have fun with this. That's probably what you're referring to. So with drive, the two runs a deep dig, right? But the one runs a shallow. So you're creating that division. It's kind of a high-low read type look, right? That's called a drive concept. Now, when we talked wolves before, now let me talk digs. Drives is very similar to digs. However, with digs, you've basically got two digs. That's all that is. When you say digs, it's just multiple digs there, right? And you're creating those tight window throws. And some of these, like the X here, the one in this specific situation, might be a choice route where he reads if they've got double leverage inside, just turn it into a curl, kind of break that off, that type of thing. We ran a lot of wolf last year, and there's not many teams that can run wolf because your quarterback has to have a strong-ass arm if you're going to run wolf. And I don't know why I can't find it. I love to double-check myself here. So with the wolf concept, the out is going to be on the outside. Okay, so let's do it on this side. You're going to run an out and then a corner off of that. And that becomes a high-low read as well, right? And let's say they play it perfect and the corner sinks underneath the X, right? And the deep, let's say you screwed up. You thought they were going to run a cover 6 with a 2 on that side, and it ends up being the 4 side. Then you can have a leak underneath, and your running back's going to have all day to run right there. You can also work your way to that look and have a check down on the backside. Well, guess what that turns into right there, right? That's similar to a drive concept. Most people will call that levels, where the 2 leads underneath as opposed to him climbing out, clearing out a touch and running a deep dig. So this is go get your own charts, guys. Mine's messy. This is you can see all of these different concepts. Route combination.
Is that something you could possibly make available on the Patreon?
Oh, absolutely, man. I created this image last year, and you can see that.
Ooh, I like that.
That right there is actually the running back. Look at all the routes the running backs have to know, man. Look at that.
Dude, honestly, that'd be great. I would. I mean, I am a member, so technically I am paying, but I swear people, I think in the chat would love that. If we could all kind of get, just because like you said, there's so much terminology. When I finished finally, the take your eye off the ball, they talk about that, how there's so many different terms, and sometimes they mean the same thing. So you're good, man. You're looking all right. It's focusing, but I think it'd be great just for this podcast if we all kind of started saying the same terminology and got on the same page. I think it'd be really cool to honestly do that.
And again, like I don't want people, if you already have what you call certain plays, certain format, whatever, stick with it, whatever you're comfortable with. I tell people, create your own. I'm not confident in my own ability to create my own language, right? But these are coaches that I've studied locally. This is a lot of Bill Walsh stuff that I've studied, and I've compiled all this information together. And here's what's awesome too. You can change, you can evolve. Like when I hear, let me give you an example. I've always heard return motion called yo-yo, right? And this is what Mandy and Jordan made fun of me and Emilio at the Titans game over, okay? When you talk about a yo-yo motion, right, this is what we're talking about, right? So let's say the slot motion's over here, and you see this all the time in Matt LaFleur's offense, and then he comes back before the ball is snapped, right? I would call that yo-yo. I heard local high school coaches call that yo-yo, right? Well, what was it that I've already forgot what Greg Cosell called it now. We called it yo-yo. He called it. You guys help me in the chat. You probably heard it. Coach Lynn in the chat, tell me what you would call that motion right there. Some people call it return. We always called it yo-yo. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what Greg Cosell called it, because we started calling it that after it. Because, again, Greg Cosell, I'm willing to change my lingo. Zipper. There you go. That's exactly what he called it. Zipper motion.
Yep.
That seems to be the new modern term for what that is. And, again, zipper – you can zip up, zip down, whatever, right? It's just basically, there you go. Jacob says it zip down most of the time.
Look who it's
Eric Sutherland, I got my own terminology. If the play don't work, it sucks. If it does, it's great. That's most fans right there, man, to be honest with you. That's what one of my favorite things to do. We got a local watering hole down here, and it's called Beef O'Brady's. It's a national chain. They're all over the country, I'm sure, but ours is just absolutely awesome. We also got a place called Rock's Pizza, which it's a pizza joint, but they get the best wings and the best burgers in town. Go figure, right? I love going down there and watching, like if the Packers aren't playing, and just grabbing a cold beer and eating some wings and just listening to the conversation. And how many people say, literally, run the ball, and then they run the ball and they go, pass the ball. It's like, you're never going to be happy, and you don't have a damn clue what they're actually trying to accomplish on this broadcast, man. So that always cracks me up, man. I thought about this year, Jacob. I think it's a bad idea, to be honest with you. I've tossed it around now for a couple of years of doing live watch parties on the channel. Like we're just kind of breaking down the action in real time. I don't think it would go good.
We can't have the game on the screen, obviously, right?
No, we cannot. No, we can't. And there's some people that are really, really, I won't mention any names because they're friends of the show, but they're very bold and confident in having the radio broadcast playing. That's even, I'm just going to shut up that. Yeah. The way we would do it is we would just be sitting here on camera talking about what's going on in the game. The problem I have with it is two different things. People get emotional during games. I'm really Mandy can't watch a game with me because she's embarrassed by how she acts during the game, and I'm just calm. I'm cool as a cucumber. I'm over here going charting the game. Damn, it didn't work. Yeah, the 2 was open there. Crap. And she's over here going, I can't watch this, and she storms out of the room like she's mad, right? So if we could keep our calmness and not embarrass the channel, acting like a bunch of knuckleheads,
Hey,
I'd be okay with it. However, the other thing, go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
No, it'd be great thing for preseason. It would be very good
absolutely.
for preseason
Or opponent games, right? That's not the Packers playing.
Yes,
that would be just a watch party, making fun of them type thing. That'd be good. But the other thing is, and listen, I'm not complaining, guys. I love what we do here. I honestly think what we're creating here is going to be my retirement. This is what I do till I die. Like, that's how much I enjoy talking ball with you guys. And it's just been a blast watching everything kind of grow. I didn't expect it to grow this quick, and it's just been awesome. But the other aspect is I'm not complaining. All right. This isn't like, landscaping or pouring concrete, stuff that I've done most of my life. But I get up on a game day and we do a pregame show. And then as soon as the game kicks off, I'm charting the game. And then as soon as the game ends, we do a postgame show, right? And then as soon as all that ends, I've got to now download all the audio, download all the video, edit it, re-upload everything into the podcast system, all that. So, it turns into a 10-hour day is what it turns into. So as silly as it sounds, during that watch party, that would be my time where I can kind of just kick back and relax and not be on camera, not have this light shining and this and that. So, however, if it is laid back and you guys don't mind me leaving the room from time to time and coming and going, and the guy is just being kind of chill like our draft party was, it might be a good move. But again, I've seen other watch parties, and my goodness, man, people make asses out of themselves. They're telling people to hurt themselves on the live stream because they're drunk watching the game. And it's like, can't do that. I can't. I want to make sure that is never attached to what we do here.
No.
But,
I personally, well, he was just saying that it'd be a good time to test it in the preseason. But like you said, Clayton, I'm definitely, I've honed it in, getting older in my years. But there was a time where my family would banish me to the basement. And I'm serious, dude. Nobody would watch a game with me. And I hate going to bars to watch the game because, one, you don't get the full experience. You don't get to listen and hear everything. And two, like you said, I'm quite emotional.
And that's the thing. We could not do that on the show. You know what I mean? You talking about losing credibility.
Right.
People punching the screen and throwing stuff across the room and everything. But AFAM says Clayton charting the game with pretzel sticks. That's the other thing, boys. If I'm watching football, I'm eating.
Snacking.
Yeah. People made fun of me during the draft. Man, I eat constantly during football. I'm with Matthew McConaughey on those commercials where he says they're trying to sell you food. Football's going to they get me.
Jerry's eating rice.
Yeah. Eating rice. All right, man. Anything else you want to hit on, Jake, before we wrap up here, man? Anything at all?
Well, I guess it would be what are our plans for tomorrow for a show?
Tomorrow we'll do just a normal time. It'll be 7 p.m. Central, so it'll be an evening show.
Am I crazy, or do we have a chalk talk to do?
We do. I keep pushing it back because we got content. I know there's going to come a time where we don't have anything to talk about, and it's like, okay, let's go rapid fire chalk talk. But yeah, we could do that tomorrow if you want. I keep teasing it, not on purpose, like to go, hey, guys, we're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do our giveaway tomorrow as well. I just want to give people a little bit more time. If anybody wants to join our Patreon community, scan the QR code in the upper right or go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, where you find all the information we just shared. It's already uploaded there for you to go back through, comb through at your own pace. But also anyone who's a member of the $3 tier or higher, we're going to put everyone's name on the wheel tomorrow, spin it, and give away an autographed Dontavion Wicks jersey. Okay, it's just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the Patreon group. It's stuff that I've purchased myself and just want to give back to people, like I said, who are supporting us. So we'll do that tomorrow for sure. I want to show this too as we wrap up, just real quick, Jacob. I threw this into the system as well. Shout out to Nerding on NFL, one of the best follows. I'm telling you, at Nerding on NFL, they do just the best illustrations here. I put this in the Patreon group, giving them full credit, obviously. But this is just a quick reference guide. You guys can refer back to it all year long just for the schedule. Okay, they did the best screen grabs. Here's your NFC North schedule all the way across the board, right? all 4 teams. So you've got access to that in the Patreon group. Also, they broke the season down into weeks like this, right? Like not really a quarter, but like weeks 1 through 6. This is all the games week 1 and where they're broadcast, what kickoff times. Week 2, week 3, week 4, right? So you get your NFC North schedule, and then you got your NFL schedule by week already uploading there. Just a quick reference, a way to get to it real quick. You guys make sure you go show them some love and give them a follow over at Nerding on NFL. So,
man, I'm just real quick. Did the Bears get gifted a real nice schedule, or am I crazy?
We felt like, I think it was the Bears we thought had a pretty easy schedule, which there was something else too. I want to say this about let's look at the Bears. So their schedule, we're way up. We're going to go way over.
Sorry. Yeah.
When you say an easy schedule, what sticks out to you about that, Jake?
Titans, Texans, Colts, Panthers, Jaguars, Cardinals, Patriots. Yeah, Seahawks. I mean, that to me, it looks like the front end is definitely easier than the back end.
I think we're all playing the AFC South this year, though, if I remember correctly. So
yeah, I'm just saying, just the order and where they are and all that. It just seems like that. Those first 3 weeks to me just says, all right, Bears, we're going to give you a good start here. First 6 weeks, first 7 weeks, honestly. And if they get past, I see Rams is the only tough game on that schedule right there.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too. I want to point this out real quick. I was going to save it for tomorrow, but we'll go ahead and hit it if I can get it to pull up here. Look at the this is another chart that was put together by NFL. There it is, Nerding on NFL, their handle. Look at this right here, Jacob. So this is net rest days. Okay, so these are rest days that teams have in between games. Look who's leading in the most. The Detroit Lions with 13 rest days. Yeah, and you remember last year when everybody was like, "How does Detroit and Kansas City get every damn call in their favor?" Right? It feels like the league was trying to force us to have a Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs, the Swifties versus the team that's never won it. Right? The lovable Lions, the fair weather Lions fans. Right? They turned around this year, and they did not silence that at all. I mean, they gave them more rest days than any other team at 13. Second is the Dolphins and the Rams at 10, the 49ers with 9, right? You look at the Packers, they're in the bottom half at -2 rest days, okay? But, again, it's not to say we're victims here. I just wanted to point out, boy, they ain't even hiding it with them trying to make this as comfortable as possible for them.
You look at that swing between Detroit and Las Vegas, that's pretty crazy.
It's nuts, dude.
That's almost a month. That is a month of that needs to be looked at, in my opinion.
Yeah. Should I cue up the conspiracy music, Jay?
Please do. We can.
We'll get us some conspiracy music back for sure. So, all right, boys, that's it. Thank y'all so much, and ladies, thank y'all so much for making us a part of your Saturday here. We're gonna wrap up there. We'll be back tomorrow. At 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live, okay? And we'll probably get into that chalk talk. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content today. These are the type of things that we want to talk about in the off season, because it was just it was golden that Matt LaFleur actually came out and spoke with Chris Sims, because it's like, okay, we can dive into some of it. Here's what he's talking about, right? And give you guys a visualization of what he was laying out there. So, again, tomorrow we'll dive into some more Packers talk. Jacob, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. It was a blast.
All right. Appreciate you, Bates. Thank you so much for tuning in, bub. All right, guys. Again, join the Patreon community. It's the best way to support the show. Make sure you get yourself entered into that giveaway for the autograph Dontavion Wicks jersey. If I remember correctly, too, it's the 1950s throwback. It's Beckett style. It's not like the authentic game worn or anything. It's very similar. They're nice jerseys. You got a bunch of them, I'm sure, Jacob. But it'll be autographed by Dontavion Wicks. I'm telling you, I think he's going to surprise people this year. I think he's going to revert back to his rookie year where he really stood out. So, all right, guys, everybody have a great night. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Also, speaking of that, go to my Twitter if you want to donate to a good cause. We got it set up for MAC, for autistic adults. We got a really, really cool thing there where we're giving away an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. Basically, everybody who donates will be entered into that contest the same as we do with our Patreon community. It's just a way for us to raise money for a great awareness. Matter of fact, I got the screen grab here. We could take a second right here. So yeah, it's it's MAC Inc., My Autism Connection, Building Hope, Community, and Independence for Autistic Adults. So make sure you guys go check that out. It's real simple. I got a link attached. It's pinned to my Twitter profile. So if you go to @Packers_access, click on that link, donate. It doesn't matter if it's $1, guys. Every dollar counts. Okay. And thanks to everybody who's already donated. We're going to run that all the way through June and give the jersey away in July. Again, this is in addition to the other giveaways we're doing through Patreon. So everybody have a great night. Appreciate you. God bless.
There we go. Yeah.